Well, my name's John. I've been out of prison nearly 6 months now. In the age of a retirement, I'm 69 years old. Never expecting in my life to be in this situation. I worked for 50 years in engineering, highly skilled job. So I'm quite an up with it sort of type of guy. I've had a good life, great life, but I found myself breaking the law is open to virtually everybody unknowingly. For the simplest of things, you break the law. I went there. I've done my time, did a year in prison, and came out of prison and went straight into what they call an AP address, approved premises. I was there for 8 weeks. I think I stayed one day over, not knowing where I was going to go. Then after that, probation found me a CAS 3 address, and I was there for 12 weeks. And I kept, in the 12 weeks I was with probation on that address, I kept constantly asking what's going to happen after this 12 weeks. The closer it got, I was getting more worried as the time went on. And all I kept getting told was, you'll be all right, you'll be all right. And deep down, I thought, well, everyone tells me I'm going to be all right. But I'm 69 years old. I paid tax and insurance for 50 years. Surely I cannot end up with the inevitable, what people tell me about and has happened to them, living on the streets, not knowing where your next meal is going to come from, any money's going to come from. Anyway, stayed in the CAS 3 for 12 weeks, asking to stay on longer because there was nothing set up for me. And on the day of leaving CAS 3, on the last month, the 28th of October, I was called by probation saying, Mr. Power, you've got to get out of that address today, otherwise you will be evicted. And I said, well, I've got nowhere to go. But with that conversation ending, I was told, well, you might have to sleep a few nights rough or a bit longer. And you've got some money, haven't you, Mr. Power? You'd have to go and rent somewhere. And I almost cried. I thought, is this real? I felt like I was worthless. Like society had let me down. Yes, I did break the law. Never nothing nasty or intentional. It just didn't happen in them. The circumstances enabled me to break the law with my addiction, my relationship, love, kindness, but none of that mattered. What mattered was I broke the law. But anyway, I got myself in that situation. I paid for the crime. I did a year in prison. I came out under license for a year. I did 8 weeks in the AP address, further 12 in the CAS 3, and then there's absolutely nothing in place for me. I'd applied for various places that were available and was welcomed into them, but I could not get backing from the council, finance, because I owned a property that I was not allowed to go to for another 6 months from now. So I was homeless, even though I owned a property. So I'd knocked on many, many doors, and the end of the day, the answer was always the same. Sorry, we can't get backing from the council because you own a property. I said, but I can't go there. Yes. Yes, well, coming from a very empty, hollow place in my mind, physically and mentally, I felt like I was being thrown on a scrap heap. And through my goings in the past with the church in where I used to live, a Methodist church, I got to know people very well. I wasn't the greatest person that went to church every week, but I went there and I befriended the people there and felt very welcome. And ongoing all the time, the church were always trying to help alongside with probation and other other possibilities of places to live. But through the church, at the end of the day, they were the last place of help, and they found me unrebel housing, which I'd never even heard of. Not even probation told me of unrebel housing. I'd only just heard about them filling in an application form a week before I found Unrebel. I didn't know anything about it. I had my usual concerns of going anywhere because I'm quite a frail sort of person. I worry about what the unknown. I didn't know. It's the same going into the AP and the CAS 3 address. But coming into Unrebel, I thought, it's a shared house. Oh my goodness, I've experienced going to other places. Well, I found it totally welcoming, Unrebel, totally welcoming, very friendly, almost on a personal basis, as if I knew these people for a long time. Anyway, as a last resort, I was homeless before coming. I had to go and rent a guest house for a week. And in that meantime, Unrebel were in touch with me and offered me a room, a roof over my head, all the facilities of a nice house. At the moment, my room is more than adequate. I did have a problem with my bed, which was sorted out immediately, and that problem was solved, or any other problem I may have had. They've been so helpful moving me in, anything I need, if I need any transport. I would say, for me personally, they were a last resort that I didn't know were there, and above anybody else, they were the only ones at the end of the day that could help me in my position. And I will be grateful for the end of my life, till the end of my life, because they seem a very happy organisation, very helpful, and they treat everybody individually, and they really care and stand out. And I've got nothing but admiration and gratitude for this Unrebel housing. To me, they are the best, and they deserve every piece of help they can ever get from anybody.